Welcome to 123 Minimize, the podcast about easy minimalism for busy moms with Jody and Linnea.
In today's episode, we will be talking about screen time.
So Linnea, what does screen time look like in your home?
Yeah, we have come to the point where we limit our kids' screen time to about 40 minutes per day. Except on travel days. That's a little different. We have our own system on travel days. And that's because we, after, moving over 100 different times, we have realized that at the end of the travel day and when we're setting up, when we get to our new site, is the time where we really want the kids checked out. We used to make them help us with the pack up and the setup when we get there. And we realized that my husband and I set up on our own without the kids involved. We can do it in like less than 30 minutes without even talking to each other because we know exactly what to do in what order. Mm-hmm. And having the kids sitting in the truck on their screens, it makes it amazing because then they're not asking us, can you get my helmet out? I want to ride my bike around, or, can I go over to the playground? Like, just wait. Like, we haven't checked this place out. We don't like. Mm-hmm. So on travel days, we let them do an extended period of time, but it's usually after our halfway stop. We usually stop about halfway for like a meal. Mm-hmm. And then after the halfway stop, when everyone's more tired towards the end of the travel day. So that's when we let them sort of splurge and do extra screen time. But on a normal day, 40 minutes, we don't do screens on Sundays. The kids do use screens a little bit for some of their school, not all of it. But some of the schooling they do for homeschooling is online. But we don't count that towards their personal fun screen time. And then sometimes we'll watch a family show together in the evening or a movie or something. And that also does not count towards it. But for them, our kids, we have not let them have any personal devices yet. They're between ages of 10 and 14. So we've been holding out as long as we can there. And thankfully nobody is driving yet. So we don't feel the need for safety for them to have a device yet. So they have devices that are shared, but they're not allowed to have them on when it's not screen time. So that's what's been working for us. And I'm sure it'll keep changing as the kids get older. But that's what we've been doing. So what about you?
So for us, we definitely use more screen time with the ages of the kids. So my younger kids, they also do some school online. And then for my older teenagers, they have phones. My oldest is driving. My second one will be getting her driver's license this summer. And both of them are doing classes online as well. So overall, it adds up to probably more screen time than I would like. Personally, I work outside the home, so I get a lot of screen time for work. So maybe 40 or 50 hours of screen time every week. And that's a lot. Yeah. I don't like that, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, sometimes I'm completely worn out. And honestly, I'll find myself scrolling on my phone just to kind of disengage with life sometimes. Usually it's when I'm in an unhealthy place in my job or overwhelmed, overworked, and maybe even getting to a pattern of trying to do everything and fix everybody's problems and neglecting myself. And then, my go-to is to lay down and just mindlessly scroll. Mm-hmm. So on top of the work that I already did. So it can be too much if it's like in the wrong, if we're in the wrong place, right. So yeah, the kids do schoolwork online.
I will just add, I totally relate to that. Now that you say it, that when I have free time and I have energy, I will always choose something else.
Yeah.
I'll practice my fiddle. I'll go outside and do something outside. Maybe we'll go for a hike. I'll play a board game with somebody, or even like a card game with my husband, even if it's like after the kids are in bed. But if I'm tired, that's it. I mean, it's just screens. Because that's all I feel I have the energy for at that point. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it just is.
Yeah, I don't think it ever kind of fixes the problem or builds me up. I just lose time. Right? I'm on the phone, scroll.
Yes.
And then it's been maybe an hour and I'm like, whoa, it's late. I should go to bed.
Right.
It's hard to stop the scroll. Like you just want one more scroll. I'll just watch this next thing. It's very addicting. And I will say this. I have played around with, working on different mindset things for myself. And there was a period of time where I, for various different reasons, I really wanted to wake up earlier in the morning so that I could wake up before my kids.
And at the time, I was really bad about, my kids were little. So this is back when they were like in diapers and taking naps and stuff. And so you're really exhausted as a mom because you're running around all day, taking care of people, making sure they're not choking and falling downstairs and stuff, And I had a really bad habit of like watching way too late at night, even though I was exhausted, and I would just like watch until I literally I could not keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
And then I would sleep until my kids were already awake and they were crying for me. And so I'd wake up in this panic, like, let me put my contacts in really quick before I know you have like 4 people that need their diaper changed, you know, all at once, and like, oh my gosh. And I started playing around with it, and what I realized, like, I had this realization, I enjoy that screen time, free time. But what I enjoy more is other things that I want to do. And if I make myself stop and go to bed at a certain time, like if I actually am intentional about it, set like a bedtime. And if I tell myself, because always in that moment, I want to watch more in the moment.
Yeah.
If I tell myself, I will not care at all in the morning when I wake up if I watched another episode of this show. I will not care at all. So I make myself stop, go to bed, and I was able to start waking up before my kids. And in the morning, I had this awesome time where the house was quiet. I could think clearly. I could get a start on the laundry, get lunch thrown in the crock pot for later, and maybe get some work done, work on some projects that I've been wanting to do because I had energy. And my productivity in the morning was like through the roof. And then my kids would wake up and I would just be like, oh, good morning. I'd be like so happy and ready to take care of them. Totally changed my whole day. And it was all because I just made myself realize in that moment late at night, I don't care in the morning if I watch that extra show. So that really changed a lot for me at that time.
Yeah, that's a really good realization about like, what is your future self gonna wish that you did?
Yeah.
Because, in the moment, there are a lot of unhealthy things that we can do, right? And that tomorrow's self is going to be like, oh, I'm so tired. I have a headache. This is going to be a really hard day. Yeah. And it is hard because when the kids are little, sometimes you just want to control your day or get a break so bad. Yeah. And the only thing you can do is really... something that's like gluttonous is the phone where you're just like, I'm so done. Yep. So it is important to be like mindful of like, what is the outcome? Yeah. And so screen time is not necessarily bad. No. I mean, everything's on screens now, really. So all of my work is on a computer. Very little do I have a physical thing to do. Maybe like once a year I'll take on cleaning out some storage closet at the office, but really it's all clicking and typing. So, it's productive. You can like get online and order groceries. You can share notes, of grocery lists with your spouse, or your kids can do schoolwork, interactive math online. And stuff. So there is a lot of benefit to it. Yeah. Absolutely. But there are definitely parts of it that don't really fill up that like self-care cup like you want it to. Yeah. I wish I put it down, was like, wow, I'm so balanced. I feel so great. That was like the best. Right. But it's just not for me. I mean, I want it to be, but it's much better if I go to sleep on time, get up and go on a walk by myself, get up and start making some breakfast or like you said, lunch, get ahead of the day. I am in a better mood. Yeah. And I feel better. And like you said, if I have energy, that's not what I'm doing. Right. Like I enjoy cleaning out like closets, cabinets. Actually, weirdly, I'm like, ooh, something to get rid of, So if I have energy, I'm probably tearing into something, doing some kind of project, helping the kids with something, making a list. I don't mind laying on the couch. I actually enjoy like a 10-minute, I'm going to lay on the couch. Like I never lay on the couch, and I do enjoy that. Like, I'll just lay down with a smile on my face. Like, I'm going to lay and do nothing for 10 minutes. I almost always fall asleep, but it's still good. A couch nap is still good. Like, when do you as a mom just get to lay on the couch? You can lock yourself, in the bathroom or something, and sometimes I'll take a bath just to, like, lay down alone. But it's nice, just to say, it's okay. I don't have to be doing something all the time. Yes. But it is that habit to pick up my phone when I lay down. Oh, no. Just boop, there it is. Where is this phone? Yeah. I catch myself sometimes, like I sit down and like I just have a couple minutes of downtime. Yeah. I'm such a checklist person. So I it's just like how I'm wired. Yeah.
So for me to like just sit and not do anything sometimes is like, oh. And I just the other day I sat down and then I immediately like picked up my phone and then I checked my email, I checked my Facebook, I checked my Messenger. And then I went back to email and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I just checked my email like 3 seconds ago. Like it was just like built-in habits. I'm like, oh my gosh, put my phone down.
Yeah.
Stop this.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I do that exact same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Because sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to open up Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open my phone, email,
Yep.
Facebook Messenger, cell phone messages, maybe the weather, you know, and then I'm like, stop. And then, I'll go back to my email. Well, there has to be something for me to do.
Right.
No, you don't have to do stuff all the time. No, I can absolutely relate to that. When you're in like a season of, you know, breaking the rules of screen time limits that you just talked about, what effects do you see that it has on your family?
It's always easier to notice other people than yourself.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
So the first thing I notice is with my kids, of course. They definitely fight more. They're not as creative. They say they're bored more. And they are bouncing off the walls at bedtime. So, and that to me just shows that they're not getting enough outside time. And living in an RV, we spend a lot of time outside. But if there's like a rainy day or something, we're not outside very much. And then, if we give in to extra screen time, we always regret it. Like, totally regret it. The kids are just so much more balanced. Like, just... all those things. They don't fight with each other as much. They're more creative. Like if they get bored, you know, they'll play a game or they'll make up a game. My kids make up more games than they even do play with the games that we have. And it never ends. They always come up with some new and they get excited about it. But not when they've been doing too much screens.
Yeah.
So for me, I just start feeling kind of lethargic.
Yeah.
Like just, I don't know, unbalanced. I just think it really is like it affects our health totally. And I don't think I sleep as well at night if I've done too much. And so, sometimes when I get like that, I'm like, oh my, I just have to go out and take a walk or something, get outside because I just can't be looking at the screen anymore, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can prevent having a good solid night's sleep. And then I've noticed that when the kids are having more screen time, then when you try to get them off of it, there's more crying, fighting, they're irritated, you know? And also for adults and kids, maybe it can grow like our discontentment with life and what we have, because on social media or commercials, which I don't think anybody really watches commercials much anymore, maybe like the beginning of YouTube or something, right? You'd see a commercial, but I remember when commercials were real, it made you want stuff all the time. I want that. I want that. So just kind of signing everybody in the family up for more screens is going to be signing them up for, not looking around their house and what they want to play with or what they have, but they're looking at what somebody else has. So everyone is starting at different places with screen time.
Yeah.
So some people listening have no TV in their home.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a phone, but maybe it's not even a smartphone. Like maybe they willingly chose to not have that.
Right.
Other people might have a TV in each room and more devices in their home than family members. Some people keep TV and entertainment on all day, even during meals, and other people do not. So I think it's important just to first of all get a gauge of what you're using for screens in your family. Yeah. Just like when we do anything, when we talk about budgeting or how many items, minimalism, what do you have? What's a realistic idea? Because you might listen to this and think, oh, we definitely limit it to 45 minutes. Yeah. But if you tracked it, it might be 20 minutes. It might be 3 hours. I don't know. Sometimes I'm not realistic. And I have this idea of what I want to be, and then that's what I think I'm doing. And then I wonder why I'm getting different results. But it's really that I'm not being truthful with myself. Yeah. So that would be the first step, is how much do you have? How many TVs? Make a list of them. Bring all your small devices, phones, tablets, whatever, into one room. Even if they're old and nobody's using them. Just gather them all up and see what you really have. Another idea would be to make a list of all of the streaming services that you have going on in your home right then. So like Amazon, Hulu, Audible, just anything that you pay for better or worse, that you use it all the time or never use it, and just get a list of it and see what's going on, right? And maybe think about keeping one service at a time. Even if you change it every other month, then you don't have this unlimited amount of things to take in. You just have the one that you're focusing on. And that can save you money too, and make sure that you don't have a streaming service that you're paying for that you haven't used in 6 months.
I want to just for a moment talk about mom guilt here, because I personally have had a very hard time in the past when I listen to other people's opinions on this topic. And, you know, I know there's some studies out there talking about different types of screens and how it affects our brains. And it's really good to, you know, educate yourself and to become aware and to, like, somewhat objectively look at what you're doing and then decide what it is you really want for your family. But to try really hard to remove any kind of guilt from the process. And I had a really hard time with that in the past, where like I would hear someone's opinion on it and I'd have that sinking feeling in my stomach, like I'm ruining my kids, like, oh my gosh, you know, and then you start thinking like the most drastic, like, we have to get rid of our TV and like, you know, all this stuff. And you're like, I don't think we can do it. And then you feel trapped. Like, I'm helpless. You know, how can you do this in the world that we live in, you know? But I think I've come a long way where I've been able to, like I said, just kind of more objectively look at it and remove, not let yourself get caught up in that mom guilt. Because, you know, I'm pretty sure that most of us moms are doing the best that we know to do. And it's okay to like want to improve, but there's no need to feel guilt about it. So I just want to say that right now. If you're starting to have that feeling, just stop and try to look back at like an objective look at this. And if it's really bad and you know it's really bad and you want to change, maybe you need to be okay with taking steps gradually. And not try to just go crazy cold turkey. If that's not going to work for you.
I definitely try to lean towards smaller steps with everything than like an extreme line in the sand. Because I feel like it's not sustainable. There'll be way more pushback. It'll be like, Mom was always so intense. She blank, 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 you know? And then if it doesn't last because it was so intense, then it's like, well, I tried that. Right? So just like anything else, if you're going to cut down on caffeine, you probably do it a little slower than getting that headache because you just cut it off at one morning. So maybe if you're scrolling for 4 hours a day, which your phone can track for you how much you're in different apps, maybe reduce it to 3 for the first week. Just a little bit. And then the next week, a little bit more. Maybe you decide because you reduced it, it was so great and you just want to go for it. But don't feel like everything has to happen immediately. If your first step is recycling unused or broken electronics, that is a perfect first step, right? Just getting it out of the house. If your next step is like, don't have devices in bedrooms at night, that's a very common step. I'm in this Facebook group called Parenting in a Tech World. It's very helpful. And a lot of parents decide to not have devices, laptops, cell phones in any kid's room in the middle of the night. Everybody should be sleeping. We don't need it in the room. So that could be like another first step where you even turn in your phone into a basket, you know, set the example, be part of it. That'll prevent that nighttime scrolling. Maybe delete a couple social media apps off your phone or set timers and time restriction apps. Another thing that was helpful for me is to turn off notifications on the social media apps. So when I'm ready for it and I've set time, like I'm going to do this now, I open it up and it's like, oh, there's some messages and there's some stuff, but it's not like interrupting my day, like an emergency, that bling noise. Because this improves like focus. I don't even know it's there if it's not notifying me. You can set it where if your kids have phones, they can push through those notifications. So like if you set it where your phone is not going to alert you to anything except these people. So you don't have to worry about like, well, if my kid needs me, you can set it up so your child could call through at 1 a.m. And that's totally fine. So one thing that we did that was incredibly helpful for positive attitudes and motivation with screen time is to give our younger boys the screen time tickets. So when they would complete a task for school, they would give a ticket, like money. I'd print off these physical tickets. Each ticket was worth 15 minutes of screen time. So the screen time for school, that does not count. That actually does earn a ticket. Right?
Right.
We're talking about a pre-designated list of screen time that is just for fun. And that really did take away all the arguing and complaining about screen time.
Wow.
Because they could save it up and watch a movie. You know what I mean? So they would even choose, I don't want to use any today. I want to do something bigger on the weekend. Okay.
Wow.
You know, and and if they're savers and not spenders, then they do end up with a lot and they don't ever want to spend it. I've noticed. That's okay too. But as soon as I started that, and we've been doing that for maybe 1.5 years, it just really made it like they're in control of it. But it's not like they're getting more screen time than they would have otherwise. It was just that exchange, you know? And yeah, if 2 kids are watching the same movie, they both have to pay tickets. So that sometimes got a little fuzzy where one kid wanted to do it and the other didn't. But I'm like, oh well. So I think it's important to realize why you are using screen time in your family. Are you using it as a babysitter, or because the kids miss nap and they're cranky now, or because dinner is late, or because you want alone time, or you're burnt out? Anything that's going to contribute to why you're increasing screen time in your home can be helpful, just to realize why you're using it and if there's anything you can change. Obviously, there are times when I'm just fine with it. When my kids have been very sick, they're kind of just waiting it out. I'm fine with it. I'm like, we're not going to worry about this at all.
Same.
I'm not. This is like on our best days where we're just doing our best self. When the kids were really little and I would get migraines more often, oh, that was definitely a screen time day. There is just nothing. Nothing else is happening.
Right.
I am laying here with ice packs on my head, or I'm going to be throwing up. So absolutely, we're watching a movie today. Like, they need to be safe. So I was using it as a babysitter for sure. And I don't regret that. Sometimes you just have to get through it. But the goal is to make that like the rare occasion of survival versus like, this is our normal life. I want alone time all day, so I'm going to put my kids in front of movies all day if they're not, you know, school age. That can be when it gets too much, you know. One thing I love that you said was you take the day off of screens. So we try to do that at least one of the weekend days where we're just, no, let's put every phone down and everything. It is hard because the ages of my older kids, they're in college. They do a lot of their work on the weekend. So I've had to be more flexible with that. But as we're getting into summer break now, I'm going to be more like, and they love to be outside, honestly. It's not like I'm dragging them out. They love to be outside too. But the pressures of having almost adult children, balancing work and college, you know, you have to like let go a little bit of just hopefully they understand the feelings when you've been on screens too much and they recognize that they need to go do something else. And that's really the goal, right? It's not to control. It is really to teach. Why are we doing this? So if you're instigating reduced screen time, just talking to them about the benefits. And I've talked to my kids about the downsides of social media. There was a study at the University of California that shows that teens who are exposed to social media were significantly more likely to develop ADHD symptoms in the future. So it really does affect us. And to be aware of what the effect is can be important for all of us. For me too. I mean, my generation is a generation that we're given technology really in your hand. Right? And without a ton of guideline. Of course, when we were teenagers, it wasn't very good. The internet. Googling or whatever the platform was that we searched for stuff. I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
You really couldn't find stuff.
No.
Now you can literally find everything. I want to replace my roof. Okay, YouTube, you know, like it's out there. Unlimited education, unlimited distraction. So.
Well, and I was just talking to one of my sons in particular that can get very intensely involved in some of his games that he plays. And I was telling him the story about some people I knew in college, maybe you knew them too,
probably,
who would like I don't know, was it Halo? Was that the big thing
that
back
was
then?
it, yeah.
They would stay up all night playing Halo, and I think they ended up dropping out because they never went to class. They couldn't. They would fall asleep in the middle of the day, and then all night they'd be up playing Halo. And I was like, I don't want that for you, son. Like, it's so easy to get like sucked into this stuff, and like, I mean, that like could have ruined their lives, you know.
Yeah.
That's serious stuff.
Yeah.
You know, paying all this money to go to a private college and then failing.
Yeah.
Like, what a waste of money.
Yeah, and time and
Ugh.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that can really, you know, when the kids leave the house, they could choose
They
the
could.
path of that. And so I think communicating is good and finding other stuff that everybody likes to do.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do? What are you going to put in your hand
Yeah.
on your downtime? Are you going to stare at the ceiling and be alone with your own thoughts? Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not, you know? So a book. Books are great. Getting some books from the library. I've noticed that when I've spent years being too busy to read, little kids, you know, just super busy, and then having screens and having a job, it is almost hard to read. You know, I'm like, whoa, it's like my brain doesn't want to engage with the book. I get distracted. My eyes are reading, but I'm completely in a different land.
Yeah.
And it's a skill that you can lose a little bit. And it's something, of course, you can get back, but it's weird.
In the evening, if I'm not feeling really tired by the time my kids go to bed, I think, why do I need to play a game on my phone? Like, why don't I play a game with my husband? So sometimes we will play cribbage or something. Because why default to the screens just because it's what I'm used to doing? Like, you know, I've tried to be more intentional about having dates like that with my husband where we're actually connecting without anyone interrupting us.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Have you heard of the 1,000 hours outside goal? Yeah. That can even be fun to have a goal for the family that you start in the, you know, whenever in the year. It could just be a year. And just tracking how many hours you're outside. And if you are having trouble figuring out what to do with your lack of screen time, if you've decided to do this, we do have a self-care packet on our website that has lists of things that you can do that will actually kind of fill up your cup and recharge you that isn't doom scrolling on the phone. So that's on our website. But really with all of this, it is really what works for your family.
yeah.
Like, I am not going to all of a sudden limit myself to 5 hours of screen time a week because I work.
Yeah.
I have to do 40 hours of screen time.
Right.
Even though that makes me cringe, like, ugh, what do you do with it, right? Like, it is what it is. But I know that I'm not going to get less than 40 hours of screen time.
Yeah.
So I just have to kind of build that in, is do I want 40 hours of screen time a week plus an additional 10? Or should I limit it to 30 minutes on top of that? Because, I need a little bit of time to do my own email and stuff like that. So just being realistic, and what fits for somebody you might find on YouTube that doesn't even have a phone, and you know, is probably not going to fit for everybody. We all have to have our own balance. And just like the kids, if they do, many classes are online now, so they're going to have some screen time there, but it's really the rest of it. The flexible stuff, and just setting some guidelines for yourself. And always, we're all about dealing with yourself first, which we don't see right away. We see everything that's wrong with everybody around us.
Right.
So maybe making some guidelines for yourself. Like, instead of reaching for my phone first thing in the morning, I'm going to open the curtain and look outside at the window. Like, what is the weather like today? Is it raining? Is it sunny out? Instead of right away reaching for my phone.
And that's a wrap for today's episode about screen time.
We hope you enjoyed delving into this topic with us and found a few tips that might help you on your journey. We want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our amazing listeners for tuning in. Your support and curiosity are what keeps us going. For more tools and resources to help you on your journey toward a simpler life, visit our website, www.123minimize.com. If you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an opportunity to explore new ideas and perspectives. And if you're inclined, leave us a review, which helps to spread the word to others who might enjoy the journey too. As always, feel free to connect with us on Facebook or Instagram to share your thoughts, suggestions, or just to say hi. Until next time, stay motivated. Take care.